The paradise tree snake is unique for one very interesting reason. It's able to press its body completely flat, almost to a point that it becomes concave, which allows it to project itself into thin air from high branches while twisting its body. This gives it the ability to move swiftly from one tree to the next. The snake's slender body is extremely long, at about 3.5 feet in length, and it can be found in many parts in Myanmar, southern Thailand, Malaysia and Singapore. And while this snake is considered extremely rare to most people, it's actually quite common depending where you live in these countries. The snake has a very weak venom, only able to immobilize small prey like lizards that live in the mangrove trees. As for humans, they don't really have much of an issue with these types of snakes. Because they're able to press their bodies so flat and maneuver high up in the trees, it's highly likely you will ever see one anyway. Native to Central Africa, the spiny bush viper is a relatively small venomous snake with spiny scales. Found in semi-arboreal locations, they love climbing trees and hunting for mammals, frogs, lizards and birds. Having what is known as a prehensile tail, they can hang upside down from branches, but be careful when trekking through rainforests, woodlands and swamps where they like to hang out. Their venom has neurotoxins that can cause organ hemorrhaging. Only growing up to 29 inches, the males of the species have a longer, more slender body. The females, who reach only 23 inches, are more stout, but both have triangular heads and green or brownish keeled scales that give them a bristly appearance. Excellent climbers, they can be found at high elevations and frequent Uganda, Tanzania and Kenya. They are a nocturnal species, basking in the sun during the day, but at night they like to ambush their prey by hanging from trees or hiding in an S shape before lunging and striking. An elusive creature, the spiny bush viper keeps to itself, which makes it hard for scientists to determine their lifespan in the wild. The emerald tree boa is another amazing snake that lives high up in the forest canopy. Adults are able to grow upwards of 6 feet in length, and they only weigh around 2 to 4 pounds. The largest one ever found was over 10 feet, though this has not been confirmed. Each emerald tree boa has bright eyes and a bright green body, like patterned scale jewels with zigzagging white stripes that almost resemble lightning bolts. It's considered one of the most gorgeous snakes in all of South America. The snake's belly is yellow. It has a bulky head and large heat-sensing pits underneath its upper lip, which it uses to track warm-blooded prey. It spends most of its days wrapped around tree branches waiting for something yummy to pass by. But what makes the emerald tree boa so magnificent other than its bright colouring is the fact that it has very long teeth, which it uses to hold onto prey while strangling them to death with its muscly body. The big danger to humans when it comes to the emerald tree boa is that they are basically invisible amongst the rest of the jungle foliage. They live all throughout the Amazon, including regions of Brazil and Colombia, and sometimes they hang so low from branches that people don't see them until it's too late and the snake has already planted its jaws into their face. How scary would that be? The only good news is that the emerald tree boa is not poisonous and is not nearly as dangerous or as large as the green anaconda. Wondering how the Brazilian rainbow boa got its name? The medium-sized snake native to the Amazon River basin has beautiful iridescent skin that refracts light and creates a rainbow-coloured effect. A brown or reddish snake with black stripes on its head, they also have large spurs on their head. Mostly found in humid woodlands or open savannas, they ambush and constrict their prey, which are usually rodents, birds or lizards. A stunning snake, they usually have either dark spots or striped patterns. This solitary snake prefers to avoid interaction, but when they encounter other snakes, they defend themselves by striking out in anger. But it is their rainbow-coloured hue that garners them the most attention, or rather their ability to glow in rainbow colours in certain lighting situations. But they do not have multicoloured pigments on their body. Instead, they have microscopic ridges on their scales that refract light, giving them their dazzling iridescence. But don't get too smitten. Their ability to see heat, like an infrared camera, means they will see you before you see them. What's the coolest snake you've ever seen? And where was it? Tell me about it in the comments section below. Then, remember to subscribe to Epic Wildlife if you haven't already for more incredible content. The eastern hognose snake is one of the uglier snakes on today's list. It ranges in colour from white and dirty brown as an adolescent to fully black and then eventually to orange and black. Still, it's a fantastic creature. One of the coolest facts about the eastern hognose snake is that it can actually play dead when in danger, much like an opossum. It sometimes hisses or flares up like a rattlesnake, but it's not poisonous or dangerous, and the eastern hognose is well aware of it. To keep itself out of trouble, the snake will play dead whenever you try to pick it up. It might look scary, but it's actually just a big baby. These snakes roam through southern Canada, all the way to Georgia and even South Carolina. They live primarily in woodlands, and when they decide to play dead, they will literally flip themselves onto their backs as if they just got electrocuted and go completely motionless. Since these snakes aren't venomous or dangerous, would you ever pick one up? Let me know in the comments section below, and don't forget to give this video a like and click that subscribe button. If you're not a fan of creepy crawlers, then the paradise flying snake might make you extra squeamish. So, would it make you feel better if you knew that this type of snake can't actually fly, but only glides through the air? These snakes use either body contortions or free fall from high places to glide from place to place. To prepare for takeoff, they slither to the end of a branch. Dangling in a J shape, they propel themselves from the branch, forming into an S shape and then flatten their bodies to trap more air. As they undulate back and forth, they can make turns in the air as they glide. But why would a snake need to fly, or at least glide? Scientists think they do this to escape predators, or to move from tree to tree without having to crawl down to the forest floor, though some scientists also believe it is to hunt. With 5 recognized species of flying snakes found from western India to Indonesia, they rarely descend from the canopy. And due to their unique method of travel, they don't really need to. When a group of scientists set out to understand just how the paradise flying snake could glide, they put reflective tape on their bodies, using high-speed cameras to capture their movements. Although they already knew the snakes flattened their bodies to achieve lift, the scientists also discovered the snakes could make complex maneuvers, undulating their bodies from side to side and up and down, as well as moving their tails above and below the levels of their head. It is their ability to wriggle in 3 dimensions that prevents them from spinning from side to side or falling head over tail. Forget snakes on a plane. The paradise flying snake can do well enough on its own thanks to its unique method of travel. The rainbow snake was named for one pretty obvious reason, because it's completely rainbow coloured. The snake isn't actually that big, but it is covered in red, blue, yellow and black, and in the light it looks like the most colourful snake on Earth. These creatures are nocturnal and mostly feed on American eels, earning them the nickname eel moccasins, as they're able to swim through bodies of water just like eels. Adult rainbow snakes can grow to be upwards of 4 feet in length. They have very thick bodies and are some of the rarest snakes found through the northern peninsula of... where do you think? Florida, of course. According to Florida Museum's Snake ID Guide, these flamboyant serpents are not actually a danger to people or pets, as they mostly keep to themselves and hang out in the rivers. These docile snakes often won't bite in defense. If cornered or approached, rainbow snakes will often remain perfectly still or slither away slowly. If captured, they may press the pointed but harmless tail tip against the attacker. When they do this, they may release foul-smelling musk from 2 glands on the base of the tail. Still, you probably wouldn't want to meet one while taking a dip. When a scientist came across a dead snake with what looked like a spider on its body in 1970 at the Field Museum in Chicago, he was puzzled by what turned out to be a bizarre growth on its tail. After closer examination of what he thought was a Persian horned viper, he found that the oval knob-like structure that he couldn't be sure wasn't simply a result of the animal's genes or some sort of cancerous growth. Almost 40 years later, another such dead snake was discovered with the same growth. After more analysis, scientists realized that the growth was an extreme form of animal mimicry, where the snake evolved to have this growth resemble the prey of another species. The reason? Many other animals waggle their tails as a decoy trick for predators, but these snakes are equally deceptive. To catch unsuspecting rivals into becoming their meal. When another animal intent on eating the so-called spider moved in for a quick meal, the snake was ready and waiting to pounce. Because both specimens were found dead, researchers needed to find a living spider-tailed snake to study. It took them to the Zagros Mountains in Turkey and Kurdistan to find one, but it wasn't easy. With their rough, Corrugated scales that blend into the gypsum and limestone, scientists had their work cut out for them, but they tracked a pair of the vipers in western Iran. They trapped and removed one of the snakes, later releasing it into an enclosure where they could watch. As the snake swooshed its tail along the ground, the spider-like growth skittered along, looking very much like a spider. Several birds were instantly fooled by the snake's movements and became meals for the reptile. Although other species, like the death adder and Saharan sand viper, do have similar traits, the snake-tailed viper is the only one with a strange growth that they use to trick unsuspecting animals. Florida wildlife officials recently came into possession of a two-headed snake after it was discovered by a family living in Palm Harbor. If a snake with two heads isn't rare or unique, I don't know what is. This weird slithery guy is a southern black racer, and it's something known as bicephalic, which means it has two heads on its body. This is likely the result of twins failing to separate while in the embryo stage of development, at least according to Florida's Fish and Wildlife Research Institute. The twin snakes didn't separate, and the ultimate result was that one body was created with the heads of both the twins. Here's where things get really cool. The heads are both able to flick their tongues, and each head will react to any nearby movement. But the heads react differently, responding in their own unique ways to the nearby stimuli. It's doubtful that this animal would ever survive in the wild, as the plain fact of having two brains trying to calculate decisions makes it almost impossible for the snake to hunt effectively. For now, it will be studied and cared for by the professional Florida wildlife officials. But I wonder, if one of the heads eats, do they both feel full since they have the same body? Think about it. From one of the most unique snakes to the smallest, our list of strange snakes runs the gamut. Take the thread snake. Their name might give away the fact that they are not only short and slender, but they are also so small they are sometimes mistaken for earthworms. Also sometimes called worm snakes or slender blind snakes, they are often found on oceanic islands. Scientists believe the Barbados thread snake is near the smallest possible size for any snake. Being any smaller would mean they could not reproduce or forage for the insect prey they need to survive. The species is in fact so small that their mouths can barely open, and even when they do, they can only eat microscopic sized insects. A burrowing snake, they spend their days squirming in soil, which not only serves as a good place to hide out, but also to stay hydrated. But that doesn't mean survival isn't a challenge for the diminutive snake species. The mother, being so small, can only bear one single egg, which means the survival of the species is precarious at best. Measuring from only 0.08 to 0.5 inches, their eggs are only as big as a grain of rice. A rare snake that has never been studied ecologically, the thread snake remains mysterious, with very few specimens seen or collected for study. The spiny bush viper is without a doubt the coolest looking snake that we're going to talk about today. These vipers are native to Central Africa, and they can be found in a few different rainforests, and they are extremely venomous. They have spiny scales on them that kind of look like hundreds of mini leaves. They're vivid green and black, and just one look tells you how dangerous they are. These do not look like snakes you would ever want to mess with. Even though they only grow up to about 2.5 feet long, with a currently unknown lifespan, they look especially mean. Just like the emerald tree boa that we talked about earlier, the spiny bush viper is arboreal, meaning it prefers to hang out on low-hanging branches. If you were to accidentally walk by and bump into one of these snakes, it could bite and kill you. Its venom is neurotoxic, and it can cause your organs to hemorrhage. It's a pretty nasty way to die. Bush vipers are related to rattlesnakes and other vipers found throughout Asia, but they have one very cool feature. Spiny bush vipers have something called a prehensile tail, which lets them grip branches so tightly that they can hang completely upside down to catch prey. This isn't something other snake species can do. One look at the blue coral snake and it's obvious you've got a unique snake on your hands. But its appearance isn't the only fascinating thing about it. The snake has a unique kind of venom, and with the largest venom glands of any snake, ones that extend more than a quarter of its body length, it's safe to say you might want to steer clear of this vibrantly coloured reptile. Don't be charmed by its eye-catching black and blue hue. They strike quickly, and their venom's toxins affect victims nearly immediately. But how did their venom get to be so deadly? Apparently, they often eat other venomous snakes, so they had to adapt their venom to make it even more fast-acting so they could take down their enemies and avoid getting bitten back. Preying on other venomous snakes is not only their lifestyle habit, but they seem to turn it into something of a game. And the fact that the venom doesn't kill right away, but instead paralyzes their prey so they cannot move, is enough to make one's blood run cold. Even though this helps the blue coral snake to survive in the wild, their toxic venom might actually help humans. Scientists continue to study the venom, and more importantly, how it affects sodium channels in nerves. Those same channels are how humans feel pain, so if researchers can determine how it works, they could possibly find therapeutic uses for it. Still, that doesn't mean you want to go picking up a blue coral snake anytime soon. Leave the research to the professionals and be satisfied with observing this eye-catching snake from afar. An albino spectacled cobra has recently been found in India, and according to the New Indian Express, it is one of the only albino cobras ever seen by human eyes. Albino cobras are apparently in the top 10 of the rarest albino animals in the world, making them by far the rarest and most unique snakes on the list today. Spectacled cobras themselves are extremely rare, but albinism in snakes is almost unheard of. It's like if the Yeti mixed with the Loch Ness Monster. That's the level of rarity I'm talking about here. It's not super clear right now exactly how this albino spectacled cobra came to be, but most scientists can agree it was probably just a freak genetic incident, and one we might not ever see again. If you're wondering what the difference is between a spectacled cobra and a king cobra, the latter is the largest and most dangerous of the cobra species. The spectacled cobra is still highly dangerous and should never be handled, though it is the favourite of snake charmers throughout India. A species of snake native to Africa, the red spitting cobra is another strikingly coloured snake. With a bright salmon colouring that contrasts with its broad black throat band, this snake can reach lengths of up to almost 5 feet. Other specimens, including those found in the southern regions of Kenya, have different colouring ranging from orange, red and blue bands to yellow, pinkish or even steel grey bodies. It's clear to see that there is a wide variety when it comes to colouring in the species. What they do have in common though is that they are mostly found in East Africa and tend to hang out near waterholes above sea level. A fast and alert snake, the adults are nocturnal, while juveniles like to be more active during the day. One macabre fact about this species is that they can sometimes be cannibalistic, which could be why adults and young snakes are seen at different times of the day to avoid becoming a meal for their older counterparts. When they feel threatened, they take on a typical cobra stance by rearing up and displaying their hood. They are also known to hiss and spray venom in the eyes of their intruder, which causes burning pain and blindness in other animals. Luckily, there aren't normally fatalities in humans. Their venom has both neurotoxins and cytotoxins, which can still cause disfigurement in those who have been bitten. Living up to their name, the red-spitting cobra squeezes the muscles around its venom gland to force small jets of venom through small holes in their fangs. They are definitely a species you want to avoid. In experiments by scientists, they found that the spitting cobra was able to hit the researchers' goggle-covered eyes 10 out of 10 times. Those are odds you just can't beat. A boa constrictor was recently discovered by a man in Kansas while he was just simply looking for his keys in his couch cushions. This is a true nightmare of a story. The boa constrictor definitely isn't the rarest snake anywhere on the planet, but when one of them is living inside of somebody's couch cushions, that's a whole different story. According to ABC7 Chicago, the snake was about 7 feet in length, and it may have been living inside this guy's couch for weeks or even months. This guy must apparently have the most comfortable couch in the world, right? The only reason the snake was even found is because the man woke up in the morning, realised he couldn't find his keys, and thought they might have been wedged between the couch cushions. It happens, but this guy was no snake handler. He called in the police to help remove the animal, which ended up being surprisingly calm and gentle. It was removed without incident, though nobody could figure out how a giant boa constrictor managed to sneak into the guy's couch, never mind go unnoticed for weeks and weeks. Authorities are now telling people to make sure they always check under their couches and under their beds, as you never know what kind of snakes, spiders or other horrifying monsters are down there waiting for you. Even if you happen to have a fear of snakes, you can't deny that some of the species are beautiful. Take the California red-sided garter snake. The combination of vibrant red, yellow and black colouring is hard to miss. Luckily, garter snakes are considered harmless. Found in forests, shrublands and wetlands, some species of garter snake are found further north than any other land-dwelling reptile in Canada. As for the California red-sided garter snake, they are usually about 3 feet long and quite skinny. Not only are they striped, but they also have spots or blotches on their backs. Unlike their Canadian counterparts, they are found in marshes or dunes along the coast. When they are approached by predators, they often retreat into the marshes, streams or ponds they like to live near. Considered both a predator and prey, they like to eat meat, insects and eggs. But they need to look out for snapping turtles and bullfrogs, who look at them as a tasty meal. Luckily for the snake's case, they release toxins with every bite, but it doesn't affect humans much. Their unique keeled scales, which have a ridge down the middle, makes them more camouflaged and more likely to survive longer in the wild because of it. Maybe that's a good thing because this California native is quite the looker by snake standards. It's time to look at the rarest snake in the world, quite literally. The St. Lucia racer is a small, non-venomous snake that lives, as you can probably guess, on the island of St. Lucia. There are estimated to be less than 20 of these snakes still remaining in the wild, making the St. Lucia racer the rarest snake in the world. They live on a small islet of about 9 hectares named Maria Major, and this small islet is also home to 90% of yet another critically endangered species of reptile, the St. Lucia whiptail lizards. The racer snakes are so horribly threatened that they're basically just a few years from extinction. But there is hope. Scientists are trying to breed these rare snakes with another species known as the Antiguan racer. Hopefully, they can bring this rare and beautiful animal back from the edge of oblivion. The Aruba Island rattlesnake is considered to be the rarest rattlesnake in the entire world, according to Animal Diversity Web. They were once found all over the island of Aruba, as well as a few other islands in the West Indies, but they are now confined to just a single spot of the region, as tourism and development have pretty much wiped them out. They live in the rocky and arid hillsides on the southern end of Aruba, in a small area only 12 square miles. Luckily, this land is currently protected, so the snakes are not in any immediate danger of being wiped out. Still, they're ridiculously rare and hard to spot. As with other types of rattlesnakes, these serpents have heavy bodies, rectangular heads, and a tail that rattles. They also have diamond-shaped markings like rattlesnakes that you'd find throughout the United States. Considering they live in such a remote place, Aruba Island rattlesnakes don't actually have any natural predators. They're at the top of the food chain in Aruba, and they feed on whatever they want. They are highly venomous, and their diet consists mostly of birds and lizards, and even a few rodents. They have something known as proteolytic enzymes in their venom, which work to begin digesting prey immediately, breaking down the structural components of organic tissue. Basically, this rattlesnake melts its victim's flesh when it injects its venom. Yikes! Thanks for watching. Which of these snakes would you love to see in real life? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, and be sure to hit the subscribe button before you leave, and come back soon for another awesome video.